Macho John Madden. In Mexico, they call me Juanito, which is, in Spanish, it technically means Little John, but actually translates as Johnny, which was my favorite childhood nickname. I want to make some comments about wellness. I watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of MSNBC, and the whole concept of wellness is being widely debunked for all the craziness. And now we've got a guy as the new head of health services for the U.S. who's as crazy as some of the craziest stuff out there, has promoted some amazingly off-the-wall stuff. And other people in the cabinet have also, because the current administration in the U.S. doesn't believe in truth, thinks it's all relative. You say a lie often enough, people will believe it. But there's a core to wellness that's real and needs to not get thrown out with the bathwater. And I know a lot about that because at age 78, I was a pioneer in some of this stuff. I was teaching holistic health in the 70s, 1970s, as a PhD clinical psychologist. I was teaching a course on holistic health through Syracuse University, the night extension, that was wildly popular. And I got there for good reason, because I had done my PhD dissertation on stress management techniques, really solid ones, not crazy things, and parlayed that into a career where I taught stress management to the whole Syracuse, New York Police Department, 300 strong, and I knew some stuff. So let me say a couple things that are right at the core of what essentially is wellness or self-healing. Taking responsibility for your own health. That's really the heart of it right there. Put less faith in doctors, and the whole opioid thing is finally puncturing the myth of the physician as a god, even though they still think they are. Learn to trust yourself a little more. Now that takes some real practice. I learned meditation from many teachers, starting with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, transcendental meditation, and they run into some flaky things. But I do believe the core of that, I know some people who live in Fairfield, Iowa, the heart of it, and they're wonderful people. And it was my first serious meditation, and I would practice every day, 20 minutes twice a day, sitting with the mantra they sold me, and they've gotten more and more expensive over the years. But it changed me, because I would slow down, be with myself. I remember I had been meditating up in my bedroom and came down to dinner, and my wife served broccoli. And I looked and I said, "It's little flowers." I had never paid attention to broccoli before. I was starting to get in the here and now, in the present moment. And if you do that patiently over days, weeks, years, you can start to actually hear messages from yourself. So that in my 60s, when I got diagnosed with prostate cancer, I had a really sharp urologist who said, at your numbers, yeah, your prostate antigen is up, and we have found cancer in 1% of all the prostate, and the measure of how aggressive are those cancer cells, they call it the Gleason grading, is a 6 out of 10. Now that sounds serious, but actually is not. There's something about the way that score works. So I would counsel you to wait, do watchful waiting. They then at some point changed the name to the whole concept of watchful waiting, like what are you waiting for it to get bad? That's not the signal you want to send, but just to pay close attention to it, to monitor it. And after years, maybe 4 or 5 years of that, getting tested twice a year, that Gleason grading went up 1 notch to 7. And my really very balanced, straight-talking urologist said, now you have to. Well, at that number, you have to do surgery or radiation now. And I went away and thought about it and meditated on it and talked with my friends and made an appointment with a retired physician friend, dear, sweet, wise man, who studied just for me, reviewed all the recent research. And I went and met with him. I said, Dave, I'm not scared of this thing. My gut sense, what my body is telling me is that this is not going to hurt you. And he said, well, based on my reading of the research, I'd do what you're doing. I wouldn't move. Don't let them cut you up. They do way too much surgery. And lo and behold, a year later, they followed me twice a year. That same number, the Gleason grading, went back down to a 6. And my kind urologist, because doctors are taught, kind of like Trump, never to say they made a mistake, did not say, whoops, sorry I was pushing you to get surgery. I'll stand behind you now on going back to just watching it. And then a year later, they could not find any cancer. And for 2 years, nothing. There was no cancer. So my listening to myself was right. I knew it. I knew it. I just knew it. There's a great song. I'll put a link to this. A great song by Nako and Medicine for the People called IFK. I fucking know. That can never happen if you're doing stuff out of books, out of YouTube videos, just chasing this, chasing that. It takes a lot of patient practice of listening to yourself to get to a point where you can know, I know. Don't trust him. I don't trust him. I trust him. He's a good man. He's doing the best he can. But I trust my sense over my body more than him. And I was right. Okay, that's enough for that note. Bye.